So in the story of Alice in Wonderland, Alice is walking through the forest along a road that branches off into a number of different roads. And not knowing where to go, she looks up and sees a Cheshire cat up in the tree. And she asks the cat, "What road do I take?" And the cat says, "Well, where are you going?" And Alice says, "I don't know." And the cat says, "Well, then it really doesn't matter, because if you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there. If you don't know where you're going, any road will lead you there." And like you, I see that as an allegory for what so many people face in their life, whether they're a new student about to go out into the working world or people in mid-career that are wondering, are they in the right place? Are they doing the things that they were really meant to do in their life? On the very first day of every class, and I have seniors, I ask them, what are you going to do after graduation? What are you thinking of doing for work? And of course, most of them don't know. And that makes sense, because the last 21 or 22 years of their life, they've been studying for finals, turning in term papers, trying to please their parents, trying to stay out of trouble, focusing on other things. And then we ask them the question, which is going to be one of the biggest questions that they're ever going to have to face. What are you going to do with the rest of your life? And so it does beg the question, though, is that okay? Is that okay that you don't know? And I've settled on it that, it's okay for now that you don't have an exact roadmap as to where you're going. But it's not okay not to have a compass. A compass, a general direction that says, this is who I am, this is what I'm about, and this is where I'm going in my life. And the reason why it's not okay not to have a compass is because if you don't have that compass, you're likely to be a victim of what's going on in the American workforce, which is shown here on this slide. And this slide is very sad, because what it says is that only 30% of the American workforce, this, by the way, is an 18-year study by the well-respected Gallup organization of the American workforce. Only 30% of the American workforce is considered engaged in their work, meaning loyal, productive, contributing to the success of the organization, basically happy in their work. Fully over half, 53%, are not engaged, which means they're essentially putting in time. They're trading their time for a paycheck. They're doing the minimum to get by. And a full 17% are actively disengaged, which means they're disloyal, unproductive, and essentially standing in the way of progress. Now, that's bad enough as it is. But then you complicate that by the fact that for 40 or 50 years, that's what people are going to do. And they're going to wind up in one of these categories. And the question is that okay? And the answer is no, it's not okay. This has to be fixed. But you ask the question, and it really begs the question, so why? Why does the American force feel that way? And there are a lot of reasons, but there's one reason that stands out. And that reason really is that many people do not feel that they have purpose and meaning in their work, and therefore purpose and meaning in their life. And so if that's the case, the question is, if we're going to fix that, can we find a way to help them do that? And I believe we can. I believe we can if we focus on these three questions. What impact am I making? What reputation do I choose for myself? And what legacy am I going to leave? So let's take the first of the three. And I think, by the way, I think of these as the three great questions in life. So let's take the first great question. What impact am I making? One of my heroes, President John F. Kennedy, put it, "To whom much is given, much is expected." Now, he wasn't talking about wealth and privilege. What he was talking about is all of us in this room here at TED, all of us who will ever watch this, have been given talents and abilities and strengths. And it's incumbent upon us to use those to make an impact. And that also begs the question of, okay, if that's the case, if we all have strengths, do you know what your strengths are? And the answer is, well, we better know. We better know because, especially all of you who are going to go out and start the interview process, that's the one question you're always going to be asked in every interview you ever go on. What are your strengths? Now, it's important to know that answer, but even more important is to know the second answer that will come to you. And that answer is, how do you know? How do you know those are your strengths? And what are you going to say? Well, I think those are my strengths, or somebody told me they are, and how do you know they're right? Right? So the first recommendation I'm going to make is, since it's so important to know your strengths, because if you work in an area that uses your strengths, you're going to be more productive, you're going to be more engaged, you're going to be more successful, you're going to be healthier, happier, and probably live longer. So if that's the case, you can see how important it is. So how do we know? I'm going to recommend that all of you, if you haven't done it already, to go get a strengths assessment. Something that tells you how good you are in certain areas. Now, where do you get these? Well, you can get them up here at the Career Development Center here on campus. You can go online and get them. Or at the end of this presentation, I'm going to show you a website that my son and I have created specifically for those of you here in the room and everybody that watches this to get a strengths assessment that also will tell you here are the careers most likely to be those that use your strengths effectively. So the first thing is know your strengths. The second thing is, now that you know your strengths, is to find a place that uses your strengths, to find work that actually allows you to use those strengths every single day in your work. I also tell my students, in the course of this semester, you're going to spend 3 or 4 hours studying for my midterm and 3 or 4 hours studying for my final. And in the course of your lifetime, what you get on this grade in this class and all the other class that you're taking is going to be insignificant to whether you're going to be happy and healthy and you're going to find the right place to work and you're going to be productive. So if that's the case, and you think it's that important to spend that amount of time, think of how important it is to find the right place to work. Something that absolutely will make a difference for you and whether you're happy, healthy, and engaged and the like. So the recommendation I make is take searching for the right place seriously. Treat it like a final. Treat it better than a final because it's frankly more important to you. Know your strengths, find the right place to work. Then once you find the right place to work, and that then is to optimize your talents and use your strengths to be successful. And there's been some great work done in the whole area of positive psychology that talks about what does it take to be successful in life. And as you see on this slide, Dr. Martin Seligman, who's considered the father of positive psychology, has really broken it down very simply for us. And what he says is that the single determinant, greatest determinant of whether you're going to be successful in your job and therefore your life is optimism. Optimism. Now, he's not talking about that rosy-colored glasses optimism and that happy talk optimism that you might be thinking. What he's talking about is when you face those great setbacks in life, those failures, those stumbles that you're inevitably going to run across, that you wind up finding your way through them, learning from the experience and not letting it get you down. Certainly not abusing yourself with negative self-talk that'll lead to learned helplessness and potentially depression. Finding a way through that so that the next time you face something like that, you're even stronger to face it. Okay? So optimism. Yeah. Then, once you've done that, if you want to really make an impact on yourself and on other people, one of the things that in this fast-paced world we all have to do, and that is to slow down from time to time and just think of the blessings that we have in our life. Take an inventory of the things that are really good in your life. First of all, that'll lead terrifically to your whole sense of optimism. But think about people that have helped you. Think about the talents and skills that you have, okay? And then if you want to make an impact on somebody else, write a little letter, send a note, pick up the phone and call them, and tell them how important they are to you. So I brought with me just a few of the cards that my 2 sons have sent me. And I happen to be blessed with 2 fantastic sons. And every Father's Day card, every Christmas card, every birthday card that they've ever sent, I have saved. And anytime I need a shot of optimism, something to just get me through a difficult time, I just pick these and read them. Now, those are for formal occasions, but I also find the notes that they've written me, emails and so on and so forth. And it makes a huge difference. The impact that you can make on a single piece of gratitude sent to somebody else is enormous. So find ways to do random acts of gratitude to people that have helped you in your life. So the first great question in life is, what impact are you making? The second great question, I believe, is, what reputation do you choose for yourself? Notice the words, choose for yourself. See, your reputation is the number one asset that we take with us every single place we go, every place we travel, every place we work, every place that we sit. And our reputation is something that we need to cherish and hold dear and really ensure, because as it says on the slide, a single act can ruin a reputation after you've taken a lifetime to build it. And we see this in the news every single day. So here's the issue that it creates for all of us. We're all going to be asked to make hundreds of thousands of decisions in our lifetime. And some of those decisions are going to have moral ambiguity connected to them. We're going to be able to cut a corner and get away with it. We're going to be able to do something and the boss isn't going to find out. Maybe we're going to make an investment that has a little hair on it and you probably shouldn't make. And when you get to those decisions in life, what I'm going to recommend is that you pass the Wall Street Journal test. And the Wall Street Journal test simply says that if you have that decision to make, and that decision were to be posted on the front page of the Wall Street Journal or the LA Times or the Daily 49er, would you make that decision? Would you be able to defend it? Would you be okay with it? And if you can, go ahead. And if you can't, then you know what to do. Our reputation, we take it everywhere we go, cherish it, protect it. It's one of the biggest assets that we have. The third, and I think the most important of the great questions in life, is what legacy will you leave? This is a Father's Day card from my son, Ryan. And Ryan is right here in the second row with my daughter-in-law, Lauren. Everybody, wave your hands so they know who you are, okay? And I think this card speaks all about legacy. It says, thank you for letting me walk in your shadow and teaching me to cast my own. You see, one of the great legacies we will leave is our children. And we can influence their legacy. We can influence their lives by how we behave and what kind of role models we create for them. But we don't have control of their legacies. They have control of their own legacies. But we have control of our own. And when I talk about legacy, what I'm really talking about is that shining light, that compass, that guiding North Star that allows you to say, this is who I'm going to be. This is what I've decided to be in my life, and I'm not going to stop until I get there. And so what I'm going to recommend to each of you is that you create a legacy statement, a clear and compelling legacy statement that says, this is what I'm going to work toward the entire rest of my life because it's important for me to be there. Now, in order to do that, okay, it's very simple to do. This is my calendar. And on the inside of my calendar, amongst other places, it's the first thing that I read every morning as I look at my daily to-do list. And as a result of reading it, and as a result of looking at what I'm going to do that day, I decide what I'm going to do to live my legacy. And it becomes intentional. It becomes purposeful. And I make decisions that change my behavior for that day. So I know by the end of that day, I'm going to do things that are going to help me get to where I want to get to. See, this is all about grabbing control of your life and taking it where you want to take it and not let life just happen to you. And so I'm going to recommend to each of you that you build a legacy statement like this. And if you think it's a difficult exercise, in the Resource Center, I'm going to show you in just a little bit. Okay? I'm going to show you some examples. I have my students do this every semester, and it's one of the greatest exercises as I get feedback that they go through. They really love it. Because now it gives them a direction. It gives them that compass that we talked about at the beginning. So build a legacy statement. And if you're going to build your legacy statement, what I recommend is that you use a couple of different criteria to build it with. The first criteria is, what do you want to achieve in your lifetime? What's important for you to achieve? Secondly, what level of service are you going to bring to the rest of the world? How are you going to serve other people? And the third is, obviously, what kind of love are you going to serve the world with? And if you keep those three things in mind, then it leads to, can we find models of people who have really done that? And I want to share with you three. The first model is what I call a legacy of achievement. This is a story of Tom Sullivan. And Tom Sullivan is a world-class rower. He's a world-class wrestler. He's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. He's an avid skier. He's a marathon runner. He's a movie writer and director. He owns several businesses. He shoots 80 in golf. It's a pretty good list of accomplishments, isn't it? But that's not why he's up here. You know why he's up here. Tom Sullivan has done all those things, and Tom Sullivan is blind. Tom Sullivan is blind, and he shoots 80 in golf. Now, think about that. My friend Mike is here in the second row, and we're out there. Mike gets to 80 sometimes. I don't. Okay? And what he says is that his blindness since birth is an inconvenience. And he didn't let that inconvenience stand in the way of him doing all the things that he possibly could, of accomplishing the potential, the human potential that he had. And so as a result of it, he's accomplished all those things. So, all of us are going to have barriers in our lifetime. All of us are going to face barriers, some bigger than others. And the question we all have to ask ourselves, are we going to let the barrier be the wall that we just can't get through, or are we going to find a way around it? Or are we going to learn from it? And we're going to get better and find a way to get through. And Tom Sullivan is a great example of how to do that. The second legacy I talked about is a legacy of service. And in my mind, there's very few people that could provide a better example of service than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who gave up his life in the cause of civil rights, a cause, by the way, that's still being fought today. And Dr. King said one time, everybody can be great because everybody can be of service. Everybody here has time, talent, and some treasure to be able to do something special with. Just imagine all the causes that exist out there where people who have things that are less fortunate than ours, and what we could do if we all gathered together and did something special about it. Just imagine if everybody here at TED today could do one more thing this year to lessen the burden that exists out there in the community. And everybody that ever watches this could do the same. What kind of a difference we could all make. Dr. King said, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? And so I'll ask you that question. What are you doing for others? Because, everybody thinks that happiness is all about, or many people think it anyway, is all about buying new clothes and having a nicer car and having more money in the bank and so forth. And all the research says the same thing. That has nothing to do with whether people are happy or not. What really makes people happy, what really brings joy in people's lives is the fact that they serve in a cause that's greater than themselves. So what cause greater than yourself are you working on today? And let's follow Dr. Martin Luther King to that end. Now, my favorite story is this story, and it's about a legacy of love. And this is the story of Bill Havens. And Bill Havens was selected to represent the United States in the Paris Olympic Games in the 10,000-meter Canadian singles rowing event. And he was considered a certainty to bring back the gold medal. He was the best in the world. But Havens, who was married, learned that the birth of his son was due sometime during the Paris Olympic Games. So after much anguish, Bill Havens made a momentous decision. He decided to give up his place on the team, and the team left without him. But his friends, his family, and his coaches all pleaded that he go, that he's giving up a lifetime of adulation and honor and probably riches if he didn't take advantage of that opportunity. Bill Havens refused. Finally, his wife passionately pleaded that he go, that she'd have the best of care. Again, Bill Havens refused. The team left for Paris without him. His son was born on August 1st. 4 days after the games, the team was on a ship en route home. He would have missed the birth of his son. And you have to think that Bill Havens, for some time, had to wonder whether he had made the right choice. But 28 years later, his mind was finally put to rest. He received a telegram from Helsinki, the scene of the Helsinki Olympic Games. The telegram read, "Dear Dad, thanks for waiting around for me to be born 28 years ago. I'm coming home with a gold medal you should have won." It was signed, your loving son, Frank. Frank Havens, age 28. I just won the 10,000-meter Canadian singles gold medal. Now, there's a man who had, talk about a moral dilemma, okay, a tough question, a lifetime of honor on the personal level, a lifetime of adulation and riches versus giving the love to his family and to his child. And the reason I bring this story up is because all of us here are going to face that in our lifetime, no matter what we wind up doing. And that's going to be the conflict between work and everything else we do in life. And the thing I want to just tell you is, work is important, but work does not define you. You are not your work. And to find a way to make sure that you balance the important things of life along with the work that you do. Work will be fine without it. In fact, you'll do better at work if you balance it the right way. Those are, I think, the three great questions in life and three great stories connected to it. So what am I going to recommend? What I recommend is that you actually take those stories, take the guidance that's going to be on this website I'm going to show you, build your own personal legacy statement. If you want to grab control of your life, if you want to take it to a place that you want to take it and not be guided by the winds that are going to blow, then I really recommend being intentional about this, being purposeful about this, and making a decision that is going to take you exactly where you want to go. So where does this leave us now? Well, if you want that compass that we started with, if you want that compass to lead you to a place that's really special, here are some examples of some things I recommend. And you see the website down at the bottom, okay? There are resources there for you if you want to get assessed and know what your strengths are and what kind of careers are likely for you. All of these are free resources, by the way. If you want to know how to find the right company to go to work for, if you want to know how to interview appropriately, okay, and really well, if you know how to be a model employee, if you want to know how to be indispensable, how to get promoted, all of those resources are contained here at impacttools.biz. I'm going to have a document available at the end of all the presentations today that gives you even more details if you haven't taken it down. Come up and see us here in the front. I'll be happy to do that. So as we finish, Katharine Graham, the CEO and publisher of the Washington Post during the time of Watergate, put it this way: loving what you do and knowing that it matters, how can anything be more fun? I hope that's what you find in your life. I wish all of you a lifetime of great success and unspeakable joy. Make an impact, build a great reputation, and an amazing legacy. Thank you very much.